August at 9 o'clock, or very close to, we'll call the meeting to order, as pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Okay, we've had an agenda submitted to us. Any changes or corrections to the agenda? Otherwise, I entertain a motion.
Move to approve the agenda.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Discussion? There being none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. Carried. We have minutes of previous meetings. First is the board meeting of August 8th. Any additions or corrections to those minutes?
I move to approve the minutes. Second.
That was great. Further discussion? There being none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. Carried. Next is the group works session we had last Thursday, the 15th. Any additions or corrections to those?
Make a motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Who seconded? Burns. Further discussion? There being none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. Carried. Next is public comment. At this point, we open up for people who have public comment. If you come for public comment, we ask you to come forward here to speak to the camera. So any public comment? Go ahead and go. Identify yourself with the rest of the board and public comment.
I am Bill Ohm from La Crescent. And I have a request of the county board that the board publish sample ballots in the Houston County News. I don't require that the Houston County News be your official paper or anything, but at election time, at least once, print a sample ballot in the paper of the largest community in Houston County. It's a throwaway paper. It's a freebie. Everybody gets it. Well, almost everybody gets it free. Apparently, Mr. Severson has to pay for it, but it's widely disseminated, and it would just be so much, I think, so beneficial to have that information. I know this last time we had the funny congressional primary and some things were going on, and without doing a lot of searching, those of us over on the eastern end of the county got no information at all. I did talk to county officials and in essence was told there wasn't enough money in the budget to do that. And here it is pre-budget time. So my request is that some money be set aside and it get published, both primary and regular elections.
You're looking for the 2024.
Yes. Yes.
Consider as we go through it.
Yeah, we could look into that.
That makes sense.
We put it in the, currently, we have a sample ballot that goes in the
legal newspaper.
Gilmore County Journal. Do we put it in the Argus as well?
Have we or?
Well, we
I don't
did,
know.
we did, when
Okay.
they were the official paper then, so.
It's a simple request. I think we can consider it.
And by extension, the Argus would be another good outlet here in the capitals or in the county seat.
Mhm.
Two largest communities.
Okay.
Thank you for your input. Any questions on Mr. Moon?
Okay, thank you very much.
That was painless.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bill. Any other public comment at this time? Nothing online. Moving forward to consent agenda. We have 6 items on the consent agenda. I don't know if you want me to read through all of them, but they have basically changed some status of folks within the departments.
I'll make a motion.
Number,
Looks good.
Oh, go ahead.
number 4 is, that's an internal search only, and
Yes.
it's not an additional, right? Because
Okay. Any other questions or comments on any of the six steps there?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Further discussion? There being none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay, carried. Moving on to the action items, first one is Brian, consider passing resolution 23-27. Authorize and execute Federal Aviation Airport Improvement Program, AIP, acquire land for development. Construct taxi lane grant number 3-27-0016-6012. 2023 and authorize signature of the county engineer to grant the grant agreement. All those words to do what there, Brian? You get that one.
Yep, so this is the FAA grant for funding 90% FAA funds for the airport taxi lane project and land acquisition. So we acquired land a year ago. We haven't got reimbursement back yet for the FAA on that. So this would get us the reimbursement on that land acquisition, also pay for 90% of the construction inspection design cost with the hangar taxi lane project for future hangar development. There is some reduction coming out as well from some past overpayment of some prior land acquisition that took place back in the 1960s. So ultimately the total FAA funds is $396,187. Out of that, $365,000 is for airport development and $31,187 for the land acquisition. And said that's for 90% of the cost. The other 10% will be local and or state aeronautics funds.
So basically, we only got 50% of our money for buying it.
They're paying us 90% of the cost for the new land. So
But
back
they're
when
deducting from the previous.
they're deducting, so yes, so when the county bought land previously back in the 1960s, the county got reimbursed at that time for percentage. There's not real great documentation on what that percentage was. And then back in the early 2000s, the county submitted for reimbursement of that land purchase cost again. And the FAA has determined that the county got paid twice for that same acquisition in the 60s. So they're taking out, they're deducting it from this grant just because they're not going to reimburse us by issuing a separate payment. They want to reduce it from this grant.
Do you agree with their finding?
There's a good chance that their finding is correct. We've done a bunch of digging trying to find out, if I can argue it both ways. There is a decent chance that they are correct with their findings.
So they're giving us what, 36,000 you said for the land?
This is,
31?
31,187 is what's on here. When I did my breakdown, the actual land, so
Land was 70 something, wasn't it?
yeah. But there is a overpayment deduction of $25,275.63 that's being reduced. So if you add that 25,000 on top of the 31, then you're up to 56,000 in that. Our numbers have computed out a little bit differently than how the FAA's putting the numbers into the spreadsheet, but it comes out to the same totals. Yeah,
Why would you add the 25,000?
well, that 25, that's that overpayment deduction, so
That's coming out.
that's coming out, so that. The max obligation is 396, 187. It would have been more if it wasn't for that overpayment deduction of 25,275.63.
So it's 396 and what's there was another number, 360.
396,187 is the total.
Would have been $25,195 higher had they not deducted.
And then that deduction.
And will we get 5% from the state on any of this?
So I believe that we ultimately will. That is not.
We can't get that from the state until we've got the.
This is the FAA. Yep, this is just the FAA.
This isn't any change from what we had talked about before as far as what we're gonna do and what it was gonna cost. It's just that they withdrew, and we've talked about this before. That our argument is that we didn't get that paid, and their argument is that we did get that paid, and we can't find anything that corroborate our argument. So being them as the Fed, they get to say what they want. We got
They're in control.
Yeah, the agreement was in place. There's some documents that were submitted to the FAA. We have those documents. We don't have the signed document from the FAA, issuing the payment. We also don't have an agreement that says that the payment was canceled, that we didn't get the money. So that's where the FAA is making the argument. The agreement was in place. We submitted for the funding. There's nothing that shows that the original agreement was canceled. So because of that, they're making the assumption that everything was fulfilled and satisfied for that original agreement. Our argument is because we don't have the signature showing that the FAA signed off and that agreed to make the payment. We don't have, that proof of payment that we didn't receive it.
Well, it's interesting, they go back to the 1960s.
Yeah. Is that when the airport was first developed, apparently? Is that what
Yes.
they're saying, and
Yep, that was the land acquisition when the airport was first constructed.
so 1960s, and then there was a second application in the early 2000s.
Then there's a second application, yes,
That's the one that they're arguing about.
that's the one they,
60s, but the second one that county applied for, and they say they paid it. We don't have a record that we received it. Can they provide proof that they actually paid it?
no.
Then there's gotta be a recourse here. I mean, I don't mean to be
We
difficult. but
went back and forth with them a lot, and they ultimately, they
They're the
hold the
authority,
money.
they're higher
Um,
authority, they got.
Yeah,
control of the-
so what it was is back in the 1960s, early '60s, airport development, land reimbursement was at 50%. And then that reimbursement rate jumped up to 90%. So in I believe it was in 2006, the county submitted for payment for all the land that was purchased at the current FAA reimbursement rate of 90%.
Get the.
And then the FAA said, well, you've already been paid for this 50%, but now they're saying you've already been paid for that 50% previously. You've been paid for that 50% the second time in 2006. And we're saying, well, where's the proof that we were paid for that original 50%? And data retention records, there's nothing that requires that proof to be maintained longer than 7 years. So it's like, how can we produce stuff that we're not even obligated to retain? We searched through records. Ultimately, what it came down to is we want to get a grant agreement put in place to get reimbursed. We need to ultimately agree that they're going to take this 25,000 out.
Well, it's a little frustrating because we made a decision to acquire that and based on the assumption we're gonna get reimbursed 90%. And as it turns out, they changed their tune on it. they found a loophole or county snafu that says, no, we're not gonna do that, we're gonna take some off. That's a little frustrating.
So they already paid us, but they can't move.
Well, that's what it sounds like.
Well, they got us over a barrel, so
And
that's why I like question. the Federal, you know, they can change their tune whenever they want.
My argument to them was, in 2006, at that time, whoever was working there, and that was before my time, and that was submitted and stuff, and, at that time, someone must have agreed that it was the proper payment amount, so why?
Right, exactly.
Yep,
It was all
17
agreed
years
upon
later,
back then, and now they changed their mind.
it was good enough then, how come it ain't good enough now? So. A little bit different in the money amounts. I guess the decision is, do we wanna go forward or,
No, with that, you ain't got no choice.
or,
For that said, I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 23-27. For the authorization to execute the Federal Aviation Airport Improvement Program.
is there a second?
I'll second.
Just for clarification, before you make a motion, or that the vote, is that approved for my signature on these as well?
He
You wanna
asked me,
restate that, Bob?
And read the rest of it.
Well,
no, for the signature part, this authorized the signature.
And my motion includes the authorization of the signature of the county engineer on the grant agreement.
Thank you.
Agree with that on your side.
All right. That's clear for you, Allison. Any further discussion? There being none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Carried. Number 2 is consider approving resolution 23-28 aquatic invasion species prevention aid. This comes from the River Soils and Water District. Is somebody here to represent them? It's just a
it's just a
packet.
prevention aid.
Yep.
We get every year.
Okay,
Make a motion to approve resolution 23-28, sorry.
is there a second? I'll second it.
Is that the same thing we did along the river last year?
I think so. It sounds like the same thing that where they did
I'm not quite sure on that because usually Amelia does that where they spray invasive on the river.
I think last year we did that deal.
They sprayed, yeah, for noxious weed.
This is just aquatic invasive species
Yeah, it's like,
at the boat.
yeah, water and.
All right. Thank you.
It's allocated based on the building.
Okay. Thank you. Further discussion? There being none, all in favor, say aye. Opposed, say nay. Carried. Number 3 is consider approving a temporary liquor license for Money Creek Haven Campground for the dates of September 1 through September 4th, 2023. Pending township approval. I understand township has submitted theirs and morning.
Morning, I'm Mike Burbach, I'm the general manager at Money Creek Haven Campground.
Okay,
I have the township's approval letter here for the auditor's office and also our certificate for the insurance.
what's happening in Money Creek Haven over Labor Day weekend?
Well, we decided we'd try something new. Hasn't been done down there, so decided we'd apply for the temporary to see if it's worthwhile to go forward in the future with something more permanent. So this is kind of a test case. But after talking with the township supervisors last night, if we want to go forward, we're gonna have to do a full township vote.
Yeah.
So, because they don't have any records from 40s or even rear records from the early 2000s with prohibition stuff down there. So, but I did get the approval for the 4 days, yeah.
What does full township approval mean?
Possibly a tiki bar next to the pool. You know, if it's profitable, if we can, you know,
It doesn't mean that you have to have a referendum from the township. I just.
Oh,
Just
no,
on
no.
board, okay.
yeah, just the township supervisors said last night, if we do decide to go forward next year, they would want to bring it up at the annual meeting and then have
Yeah.
the township. residents
They'd have
vote.
to go through the annual meeting process
Yeah.
to do that.
Which we're totally okay with.
Sure.
I'll make a motion to approve the temporary liquor license.
I'll second it.
Yeah. You beat me. Motion made and seconded to approve a temporary liquor license. Any further discussion? There being none, all in favor say aye. Opposed say nay. Carry. Thank you. Good luck with it. Hopefully you can have a tiki bar next year.
Possibly see in the spring.
All right, good luck. That'd be the end of the action items. We'll go to discussions. Start right here. Greg, what's happening on your end of the table?
We had a department head meeting yesterday. Nothing too crazy, we got some. A lot of these scams going on, gotta be careful with your computers,
So what's going on?
scams.
Scam. Okay.
Andy would like everybody that has a computer to shut it off at night instead of leaving it on. Because that's when they go into your computers, is 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. So he recommended that we all start turning our computers off. Okay. And let's see. What else was there, Eric? You were with me there. Did I miss anything?
Oh, yeah, just that, and then, you know, some of their test emails that the IT sends out to all county, there's been some failure rates on that, and so he'd like make sure that people complete their training for phishing, so, they need to, they're not completing their training, and he'd like to do that. He's encouraging it with a carrot right now, but a lot of people say they don't have time to do it, but I think if you encourage people to finish their training because they're clicking on stuff they shouldn't be. And so they need to go through the training and then complete it. The other one was, if you want, about the land use or
Yeah,
the
you go ahead.
department had the Tyler quote for Tyler Systems for the tax to eventually replace the S400, which is gonna eventually go away, or we're gonna be paying through the nose to keep it up, but it was at 350,000, so I think we need to seriously consider doing something there with the tax system. We have some money saved, so, but it's something that we seriously need to for next year to convert over. Andy's said that he didn't have any red flags that came out of the meeting with them when they met with Tyler. They went through a demonstration, and he said they answered all his questions. He had a lot of questions, and so that's something we need to figure in.
Didn't you say Tyler was getting more counties too?
I know Winona County is switching to Tyler, and I think Fillmore County is too.
So is it Tyler that cost $250,000?
That was their quote, which Andy thought was a lot less than he thought it would be. He thought it'd be more than that.
And that's a one-time deal.
Yep.
And there's the annual payment, so.
Right.
But wasn't that for like for 5 years too or something like,
Yeah.
what was one of the things we just talked
It
about
was a
here?
5-year plan.
5-year plan and then the equipment. No, that was the elections.
That was election stuff.
Okay, I'm off on another tangent, sorry. Okay. This
But
is
no, there
tax-
was like a 5-year deal on this too, wasn't it?
I can't say for sure on that.
Pretty sure there was, and then we get new equipment, but we don't have to buy them.
I'm not so sure on that. I just know that we need to seriously do something to replace the S400.
Oh, yes. That's an outdated.
350,000. That. How much does the 400 cost us annually?
Well, it's going away. That's the problem.
I know it, but I mean, it's a 350,000 a lump sum deal, or is that?
That's a Carol.
There we go.
It's.
Yeah, but isn't most of the counties going away from it and then pretty soon we'll be the only county using it?
Well, that's the tax program,
Yeah,
but the AS400, is still big in the industry. It's just that counties are kind of, trying to get more to the Windows environment, so they don't have, it's hard to find somebody to maintain an AS400. Yeah, so we've been looking at moving off of there. We have our IFS system, our payroll system, and our tax system on there. CAMA used to be on there, but moving to Vanguard, that moved to the Windows environment. That actually is what kind of causes some of the problems in the interface, is because it's a Windows interfacing into an AS400 system. They can't make it perfect, but Tyler would be everything integrated. Like right now, if we make a name change in the tax system, it has to be manually updated into the Vanguard system. There is actually, automated ways to do it, but they do it manually. So it would just be a more integrated system with the appraisal system.
So the AS400 system is antiquated. Basically, it's kind of being phased out because it's not keeping up with the Windows and all this other stuff. I don't
Well,
understand.
I guess you could probably consult IBM about that, but in terms of our tax program just really, it's been maintained and we want more.
but
And
eventually.
we don't want to buy a new AS400.
Right.
So what's AS400 process?
Really, at this point, it doesn't really cost us anything except for, it pretty much runs and runs and runs, but it, I believe, is 10 years old. So,
And the 350,000 we're talking about, that's an upfront lump sum.
right, that's for the
It's not
implementation.
spread over the-
No, that is for the implementation. Taking what we have now and converting it to that environment. So there would be annual fees, annual maintenance.
But wasn't there other counties that? We got that email about where we're gonna be the one of a handful of counties still using it.
Right, and they have to get converted too. So,
So do we wanna be the last county to use it? Or-
well, it depends on how quick we can get in their queue to get, to get converted.
Well, we're gonna continue with the 400, adding this to upgrade our system. The 400 will still be in use.
Until we can get everything off of it. Like I said, there's really only 3 major programs that are on it, so
So S400 is going offline then eventually.
ours, yeah. Mhm.
Is this included in the budget information? you
That's my
provided
next.
us?
Not yet.
Not yet.
It's one of the things where we need to get a handle on all the other costs that we have to see where we could, come up with some money. We do have, what, $100 and some thousand. If you look on the trial balance, there's a line item in the investments that says technical equipment. And back when we had to self-insure for workers' comp, there was a lot more money in there. But when we didn't have to do that anymore, we went with MCIT, then we reduced it to a certain point, and then that money was earmarked to like update the AS400 of the programs that were on it, or get the programs off of there. So there is $100,000 some earmarked for it.
Meet next week, remind me how this is.
Mhm.
Well, we need to get a handle on our outstanding bills, like for the roof and for the parking lot,
And-
see where there's it,
And then we have the chillers that we have to
the chillers.
figure out where they're coming from.
Should you get a bathroom bill finally?
Yes, we did pay the bathroom bill. I mean, we finally just, some of the parts for like automatic flush or something like that. They couldn't end up getting, and they didn't figure it would be real soon that we would get them. So we just finalized it out.
Just
If that wants to be changed in the future, then we would have to add money to that. But we did final out that project.
okay.
And then I got a planning commission meeting on Thursday night. Outside of that, I don't have much else going on.
You got several things going on in that planning, I understand, right?
Yep.
Okay.
We're gonna have a hearing on your candidates. What else? There was two of them there.
No wait,
No weeks, yep.
then, I saw something else. Okay, great. Mr. Schultz,
I didn't have any extra meetings, but I spent a little time up at the fair and want to commend the fair board for a outstanding job. There was people I talked to were real impressed with that rodeo and a few other things, and the lines kind of showed it. They were definitely busy. So
The crowd was full packed for the rodeo.
yeah, it was just phenomenal the length of that line, the people lining up for it. So good. So tough work for them, but they put on a good event. So.
a little bit of hiccup on Saturday night, I guess, that was something else, but
Yeah, some electrical.
Mr. Burns.
I don't have too much to report since our last meeting. We had our finance meeting this morning and got the general fund information and tentative information. I think Carol handed us, all of us now have the sheet on what the tentative budget looks like prior to any adjustments. We will be having departmental meetings next week. We don't have a board meeting next week, Tuesday, so we have departmental meetings to go through the line items and ask them what can be cut, what can't be cut, and why. So that we can make presentation to the board the following week. The first meeting in September.
Next Wednesday, Thursday,
And
instead
you
of
guys
that.
will have it, then you can go through it. But we'll have adjusted, I think we can adjust. Otherwise, I don't have anything to report. I do have is that marijuana public hearing? Is that just public, that just for the cannabis? But is that a board public hearing or is that just the
Plan commission.
planning commission? So it's
For the
not the board as a,
Not for
The board.
we aren't all there. It's just.
It's the planning commission.
planning commission for the ordinance.
Take it up whether they recommend it or not.
So I gotta take that off of my list of things to do. I do have an LRIP training session that same day for the local road improvement project, so I wanna go to that and see what that's all about.
Is there any chance that the county can participate in that?
For the cities and the townships,
Counties can't get LRIP?
counties approve.
I know the county, gets run through the county, but I mean, the
for the-
county itself cannot apply for an LRP.
It's just cities. and townships. But I'll find out if they've made any changes and added the counties to that. Used to be only the county. I'll know after the. Well, you can come and sit and listen to it. It's a public hearing. That'll make three. board members.
How would that make three? There's only one on Greg's house.
But I could. And I was at the fair also, was well attended. I did get questioned with regard to the jail a few times, but few people.
I did too. There was something in the paper, they were a little confused on, if it was the old jail that we're closing or?
That was one question. And I also got question with regard to the budget. And what's gonna happen on the budget. Don't know, haven't decided yet. That's all.
It's gonna be a difficult time.
So that's all I got.
The Johnson,
Yeah, I was up at the fair a couple of days too, and it was good weather until towards the end there, it got a little hot and had to send things home early, so. But all in all, I think it was a good participation. I too got some questions on the fact of some confusion on what versus something in the paper about being the old jail, closing it and versus the new jail. I mean, so tried to clarify that. Another question I had was, I see, Carol, you sent out the Merchants Bank transfer spreadsheet, is that what that is?
Yes.
So who all has the authority in the county to move money around? Is it just auditor, treasurer, and Julie and Polly can move money too?
I can,
Okay,
I approve their transfer that they initiate.
okay.
But they're the agent.
You have to, they have to go to you to approve them before they can transfer them?
They initiate a transfer and the bank sends me an email that there's a transfer ready for me.
Okay,
So you're the double check.
but so the auditor, treasurer, or Julie, they can't do the transfers themselves, they have to wait for your approval, is that it?
They do the transfer on the bank website. And then I get an email from the bank that says that they've initiated a transfer and I need to approve
So if it doesn't, if you are gone or whatever, that doesn't happen?
it. We really don't have that issue. It's not like there's transfers done every day.
They usually communicate that with you, that that's gonna happen.
Certain days when we transfer state money or regular checking account. People pay by credit card that they want to receive it. It's transferred.
Is that the way we always did it with Bank of the West too, or?
Yes,
Apparently the auditors are okay with that.
yes, and we are required to send you that
Right.
summary sheet.
You see the summary, but we really, it doesn't tell you what the transfer is for, and it's just what department it went to. So
So. Our budget here. The initial look here is not looking too hot here. So,
it's an understatement.
so you guys will be busy working on that, the finance committee, going through with the department heads, going through that.
But
Has all the department heads submitted their budget?
Sam's still out.
Only one short.
Okay.
So now we'll get a chance to look at them.
That's all I got.
Well, it's about all I had was the finances morning since last week. We got much going on. I did not get up to the county here. I had other issues going on in northern part of the state, so. Anyway, that's all I have. Nothing going on.
We'll report one thing. I work at the Ring and Run booth at the fair, 3 days. One of the things that we gave out as a freebie was red fans. They were all over the fairground. We gave over 350. You see red fans all over them. People appreciated them. Yeah. I thought that was fun. That's all.
Okay, anything else? Any other closing public comment? Anybody on the screen? Nobody here, so I entertain a motion.
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.